Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic hypersonic.
Positronic hypersonic.
Positronic hypersonic.
I'm Barry P. Cook, and I'm here to talk to you about the latest episode of Doctor Who. It was called The Well, and as it starts, the Doctor and Belinda are traveling in the TARDIS, of course, and as it lands, they prepare to take a new recording on their vortex indicator in order to trace a path towards Earth. But they're 500,000 years in the future, and they find themselves on a drop ship as the crew of the ship is leaping down to the surface of the planet below. As the group, which now includes the Doctor and Belinda, lands, the Doctor uses his psychic paper to convince the crew that he outranks all of them and that he was sent as a test of their operation. The Vindicator reading gets taken, but the ship with the TARDIS aboard can't land for 5 hours due to the Gallianic radiation coming from the sun, so the Doctor and Belinda accompany the crew to a nearby diamond mine. As they all enter this now defunct diamond mining facility, they quickly come across a dead body with every bone in it broken. They then come across another deceased individual who was shot by a laser. In fact, they continue to find corpses, half of them shot and half of them shattered. And in every room they enter, they notice that reflective surfaces have been destroyed. On their instruments, they pick up a single heartbeat in an isolated room. And when they enter the room, they find a woman named Alice Fenley sitting by herself next to, guess what, a dead body. Alice, who is hearing impaired, signs out to them that, yes, she shot the woman next to her, but only because that woman was about to kill her. She expresses fear as well as frustration over the fact that everyone around her all of a sudden went mad. So the crew splits up, leaving some of their team members behind to guard Alice, whom with Belinda stays in order to tend to her wounds. And the Doctor goes with some crew members towards the central control room. Once there, the Doctor and the crew work to recover the video logs of the facility. And the Doctor learns that no one in the party has heard of the planet Earth or of humans before. Back in the other room, Belinda talks with another member of the crew who also has not heard of humans. As she tends to Alice, she sees something behind her, very briefly, a few times, which would flicker out of sight just as soon as it would appear. But then the others start to see these things as well, always behind Alice. As the crew gets more and more paranoid, Alice explains that this is how it happened before, how things started as the mind spiraled out of control. The crew fans out, guns drawn, and one of them walks behind Alice to see her back from every angle. As this crew member positions herself directly behind Alice, she's flung across the room and just is broken. All of her bones are broken and she dies. Back in the control room, the Doctor pulls up the last video log filed, and it shows crew ranting about something that came out of the drilling well and how they don't know what it is. The Doctor asks the troop leader about the planet's star, which used to be called Extonic. And he asks him about the planet itself, learning that it used to have a surface entirely coated with diamond. Horrified by a possibility that occurs to him, the Doctor asks what the planet's historic name was, and the reply confirms what he feared. It's Midnight, which is a planet he's been on before, and a planet where he didn't have a great experience. So he rushes from the room, dashing to where Alice, Belinda, and the rest of the crew are, finding the standoff taking place. As everyone else enters, Alice explains that there's something behind her that can't be seen, and that she doesn't know what it is, and that no one does. She explains that it came out of the well, and that if someone tries to get rid of it, it just goes behind that person instead. Frustrated with this line of reasoning, some of the crew members stage a mutiny because their commander isn't willing to do what they think needs to be done to get them out of danger. And they attempt to forcibly look at the thing behind Alice against the, at this point, suggestions of the former leader, and they all die, all the ones who try to go behind. The Doctor then attempts to talk to the thing behind Alice, hearing its whispers, hearing his name, his own name, and coming to an epiphany. He then has the former team leader, Shia, shoot the pipeline that the mine uses to transport mercury, and which is behind Alice. And when the mercury starts to spill out, it takes up the space from ceiling to floor, creating a reflective surface, as well as a rush of force. And Alice falls towards them, freed from the clutches of whatever was behind her. So the group runs towards the airlock, and as Alice and some of the crew head through, the room lurches. Whatever was behind Alice has now caught up to them. Both of the crew members say it's not behind them, and the Doctor doesn't think it's behind him. And with Alice and the other crew on the other side of the airlock, that only leaves Belinda, who can hear it whispering, and the conclusion is made that it's behind her. Shai decides that she's going to take on the burden of having the creature be behind her because it's her duty to protect people. So she precision shoots Belinda through her chest, just above the heart, which keeps her alive, but just barely, convincing the entity that she's deceased. So it goes behind Shia, who then runs back through the mine to the well and casts herself down it. The Doctor, Belinda, and one other crew member then make it back to the dropship. The Doctor and Belinda then take off in the TARDIS, worried about the Earth, because, well, if no one's heard of Earth or humans in 500,000 years, then the Earth must be having some kind of problem. But they don't know what, because they don't know what we know, that it would seem that it's been destroyed. At that point, the last crew member who was in their group gives her report over video call to her superior, who turns out to be Mrs. Flood, 500,000 years in the future. And she's delighted to hear that the Doctor is using a Vindicator. As this surviving crew member, Mo, returns to the rest of the crew, her fellow crew member, Val, seems to notice something behind her before saying, "Oh, no, it's nothing. I was mistaken." And that's where the episode ended. So I really, really liked this episode. I thought it was proper scary, as they would say in England, and, very much freaky and suspenseful. And, it had a frantic pacing in parts, while at the same time having other parts that were like slow where the tension is building. So I just thought it was really well done. And of course, not knowing what the thing is at all, not being able to see it at all, adds to the tension. And then connecting it back to a previous episode, which I have to admit I've forgotten the content of, was, I thought, excellent. And the part of the story where some of the crew doesn't agree with other parts of the crew, and they're all panicked and they want to like leave Alice behind or kill her because they're afraid of the thing. And it just reminded me of, movies like The Thing and, Alien and so forth. And I just thought it was excellent. And Ncuti Gatwa is absolutely fantastic as the Doctor. I say this every week, but it just is true and remains to be true. And the Belinda character has really grown into herself. I said the same thing last week, but in this episode, it continues. It's a fantastic character. I didn't think I was going to like her because I liked Ruby Sunday so much. And, she was herself a nurse and a professional. And so I thought, oh, this is going to be kind of a bland character, but she's really, really a great character. And I actually love the fact that she's a nurse because it allows her to come out and be a caretaker. And I think that's just awesome. The actress who played Alice did a really, really great job conveying how afraid she was of what was happening to her. Not only that she had this thing behind her, which would freak anyone out, but that there wasn't anything she could do about it without people dying. And, she was horrified at the fact that she had already had to kill someone herself to keep from being killed. And, she talks about how she just wants to get back to her daughter. And it was just really, really compelling. And you really could feel her fear and her sadness. It was really, really well done. And the great thing about that is that the actress whom they cast is hearing and speech impaired. So to have a performance like what she gave come from her when she speaks differently than everyone else and hears differently than everyone else, if she hears at all, was just a testament to how great an actress this woman is, because not everybody can act really well when they are someone who doesn't have a speech or hearing impediment. So it was just a really, really great performance and a triumph of acting, if you ask me. And what went along with that is that the Doctor signs during part of the episode, which was cool to see that he knows, I guess, British sign language. And at the same time, they had this cool effect where everyone would put on a little widget thing that, when activated, projected a screen about this big in front of them, one of my hands, about this big in front of them, on which text would appear as they were speaking so that the person opposite them could read it. And I thought that was really, really cool. Whoever thought of that is a genius. And I think they need to make this a thing in real life. It was a projected out in the air text that worked in real time with speech. I know we have that on phones and tablets and so forth, and you can even get an audio one in some cases where you put, your earphones in, and if it's connected to your phone or your tablet or whatever, the translator app will translate in real time what someone else is saying if you don't happen to understand their language. So I know we have that already, but to have one that projects it out in front, I think would be really, really cool, and I think they should work on that. Someone should get on that. Just do it. So a really, really great episode. I mean, and that even includes the performances of the members of the crew who had to portray these people that were all afraid and who were conflicted between doing right by a civilian that they have a duty to protect and doing right by themselves to save their own lives. And how there was a conflict dynamic between members of the crew and the leadership, and the doctor was involved in that as well. I just thought it was a really, really well-written episode, again, in the vein of the movie The Thing and movies like Alien. It just a really, really well done episode that felt scary and intense, and also had moments where you could see the Doctor and Belinda being the compassionate people that they are and trying to keep everyone alive. Just really, really well done. I think the highlight of the season so far, the best of the 3 episodes. But that's really all I had to say, so I'm going to get out of here. I'll be back with another video soon. Until I return, I wish you peace and long life.